I'm Sam Green from audiopropellor.com. Today we're going to be looking at GarageBand, and I'm going to be starting a new series, the Project series, and this is GarageBand Project Songwriter. So if you're a songwriter or maybe even a producer, aspiring producer, and you'd like to take a look at what GarageBand can do and see how you can build up a song from a guitar, add some drums, add some bass, add some keyboards, and make a large arrangement which may sound like a full band, depending how much work you put into it. This is going to be a series, these next couple videos that'll help you get there. So what I have is an acoustic guitar, a keyboard, and a microphone here that I'm going to use. So that's really all I'm going to be using today. So I'm going to play some guitar, I'm going to add some drums onto it, and then I'm going to sing a little bit. I'm actually going to play a little bit of trumpet, and we'll see how that all goes. So bear with me as I'm kind of winging all this because, as you may know, creating music, it doesn't always happen perfectly, but you got to keep at it and you'll eventually get the results that you want. So let's hop over to the computer now, and I'm going to go to a GarageBand, which I have started up already, and I'm going to start a new project. And like I said, we're going to be doing songwriting, so we can just open up this songwriting project, and I'm going to say Project Songwriter, and I'm going to call this Project Songwriter 1. And in that dialog, I actually had a tempo there, 120 set. So that's kind of the first thing you want to do when you get started is set your tempo. So we can have this play right here. I'm going to throw my headphones on. And let's get rid of this drum beat here. And listen to that tempo. And I think that tempo is probably pretty close to what I'm going to be doing here. Let me just throw this on so you can hear my guitar here. Okay, so that's the verse riff there. So let's listen to so that's about the right tempo there. So I think I'll stick with that. It seems a little slow to me right now, but it might be just because I'm doing this recording, and when I'm performing, and I'm kind of performing here, I feel like things always seem too slow. So you'll get out on stage and you'll be playing really fast, and it'll still seem slow. So I don't know what's up with that, some kind of time warp that happens. So let's go back into our song, and we've got our tempo set. And what I like to do is I like to get a little bit of what I think my drum beat might sound like, just to play this riff along, my basic riff, so I have a little bit of the feeling that I'm going to finally have in the end. So let's get rid of this drum track. I don't want to use these audio loops here, so I'm going to hit Command Delete, and that'll remove my track. And then I'm going to add a new track, and this is going to be a software instrument. So I'm going to create that, and then take a look at what I have here. I have my software instrument, which is you can pick from all these different categories, and I have a category called Audio Propeller, and that's where I put my custom instruments that I've made that you can get off the website. And we're going to be using this Room Boom drum kit. Room Boom, it's a kit I recorded with 2 microphones in here, one in the front, one on top, and it's a mono kit, and it has some other kind of nasty sounds in it, like these claps we're going to use too. So let's check that out and make sure we can hear it. And okay, so we got that going. And what I want to do real quick on this is turn on the compressor, because I didn't really jack the volume up on this kit because I wanted you to be able to treat it how you wanted to, and I didn't want it to be all compressed and really top level. So I'm just going to turn the volume up on this a bit, and I'm using the compressor. So what I just did there is I clicked on my track, and if you don't see that right window, then double click on the track header. I think this is called the track header, and you'll get this pane over here. and make sure you're on the software instrument tab. And then I enabled the compressor, which is on there by default, I believe. I turned that on with that light, and then I double clicked it to bring that the graphical user interface, the GUI, up for that, and so it's on. You can see that little green light's on here, and we're on. And then I lowered the threshold for the compressor, so that means that the compressor is going to reduce the sound of lower volume. So I brought it down to about 29. It's going to reduce when anything comes above negative 29 decibels, and then I turn the volume up of everything. So it's not really critical that you know how a compressor works, just if you want to look at my settings here and maybe duplicate that. But if you are interested in learning how compressors work, there's a lot of stuff you can read online. They're a little bit complicated to understand, but they're not too bad. And once you mess around with mainly the threshold and the gain, you'll start to see what they're doing. So in effect, I've leveled off the peaks of these drums, and I've then boosted up the overall volume. So that's what a compressor does, boosts up the overall volume. So let's go and play a little beat here. So that's what I'm going to play, something like that. So I don't like pressing the record button all the time, so I found out the key commands in GarageBand. We go to our help and then keyboard shortcuts, and you're able to see all the different key commands that GarageBand has. And one of them that I like a lot is R, so that does recording. And then we've got C here, which turns on cycle mode, which we'll get into later. So actually, we'll get into it now. Let's hit C, bring that up, and we can adjust our cycles. And so that makes us our cycle indicators here. So that lets us loop 2, 2, 3, 4. So that's what are we looking at here? These measures are kind of hard to see. What am I showing? I'm not showing. I'm showing measures. There we go. Can see measures down here. Now we're showing measures. So what was that doing there? Let's take a look at that. When I was on time here, I could see time in that top bar. So I can switch to measures, and now I can see the measures of which I was wanting to see. So when I have cycle on here, I can cycle record, which means I press the record button, or I press R, which I'm going to do right now, and I can kind of overdub different. I can overdub in this range. So let's take a look at a preference here. And this is a cycle recording. Automatically merge software instrument recordings when using the cycle region. Now I'm going to turn that off right now, and you'll see that while I play this drum, it's going to not overdub. It's going to lay down a new region every time we move along in here. So let's see how that is. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted there. Now we've got 2 takes, you can see. What I didn't want was that clap sound. So I just double clicked on this region, and I'm able to come down here and edit my beat. And it looks like maybe I hit this kick maybe early. So I'm going to move that kick by clicking on it over to the beginning of this measure. So now I have. I didn't want that to be that clap, so I'm going to hit on that key. It'll highlight all of these MIDI, I guess you could say notes right here. So these are D sharp ones, and I'm going to take them down to be a cross, what's it called? A cross stick or a rim shot. That's it. Now you can see also that I got a little bit ahead there when I was playing that. So you see the bar coming down here is the note is ahead of that bar. So I can take advantage of a feature to make things exactly on time. I can say Command A to select all the notes, and then I can say quantize my note timing, and I'm going to quantize it by 1/8 notes. And then that slides all of my notes to be exactly on time. Now this is a good thing in this case, but in other cases you may want to preserve your natural timing that you've played. If it sounds good, just stick with it. But I'm gonna quantize this because I was actually starting to rush a little bit. So let's listen one more time. Just going to take that volume down a little bit, and now we are going to let this loop. Now, one more thing. Remember I was talking about the difference in this cycle recording option. Let's turn that back on, and we got these two different takes before. So I have this one take, the very first take, and then the second time it looped over, I got take 2, which is what I'm using. So now, once I'm in this mode where I'm not going to be merging the recordings, it's going to overdub. So let's do a little overdub here, and I'm going to do some hi-hat on that. Okay, so now I've got, did I not merge? Maybe that doesn't work with the takes. So let's go back. Let's try this. Let's delete unused takes. And now let me just verify merging. Okay, I'm using the merge. So let's try that one more time. Okay, it looks like that worked. So that's something we just figured out together, is that we can't take one of those multiple regions, recorded regions, and then overdub over top of them. So I had to get rid of those underlying layers that weren't being used, and then that would work. So now I have this region ready to go. I think the timing on these are okay. One more little thing. Let's listen back to it. See, I don't like how loud that hit is right there. It's a little louder than the rest and not where I'd like it to be. So I clicked on that to highlight it, and now I'm going to drag the velocity down. So that velocity is going to say how loud it is. So I'll do the same thing for this over here too. Bring it down, and you can see the color of it changes a little bit. So gets from brighter to be darker, to being darker. So I'm going to take it down to about 79, and that should be good. Now I want to loop this out because the part I'm going to play on the guitar is going to be longer than that one measure. So I can take this and loop it and kind of reuse that beat. Now, if I do change this original loop here, it'll also change the rest of those. So you don't have to go and, if I double click here, actually I can't even double click on it. If I'm over here, you can see down below these are grayed out, and I can't edit them. I need to go back to the source loop of that instrument region. So we've got our cycle on, so let's hit C to turn that off, because I'd like to record a longer section using my acoustic guitar. So what do I need to do? I have it's already set up here, an acoustic guitar, and you can see if we go to browse, we can see the input source is stereo 1, 2, and that's actually my the microphone I'm talking into right now, so you can see a little bit of movement up there. But I want to change it to mono 3, which is my microphone I'm using over here. So mono 3, and then I'd like to turn monitor on so I can hear that when I'm playing. Now let's go back to the beginning here, and one other thing I would like to, when I am recording, I would like to get a count in, make sure I'm getting that count in. So I believe I had that set, but it's not doing it now. So let me, this is what I like. I love this about all the Mac programs, is you can say, type in something in help, and it'll show you how to turn it on. So I just turned that on. Count in is now on. So I can hit R now, and it starts recording at the the right spot. It doesn't just start recording right away and give me no chance to even record or get ready to record and know where that beat is going to be. So what I'm going to do is grab my guitar, and then I'm going to record a bit, and hopefully I remember how to play this part. So I'm just going to extend this a little bit to get down closer to my guitar. And then I'm going to highlight my acoustic guitar here, and that's what is going to be recorded. And I'm going to take a little peek at my meters here. So that's good. I'm on this third input here, and when you are recording an acoustic instrument, you don't have to have it getting up to 0. You don't have to max out the meters. So I'm at about -12, I think there. -13, yeah. So there we go. Levels are good. It's always a good thing to check. And then the other thing we want to check too is the tuner. Always check your tuning before you record. Okay, so we're in tune now. That's a good thing. And let's give this a shot and try and record. So I'm just going to press R here, start it out. Okay, so you see that I ran out of beats there, and then I also messed up a bit and hit the wrong chord. So let's take a look at, where was I at? Let's find where I change into the second part where I start out with the A minor there. Okay, so that's it right there when I'm going into that next part. Right there. So what I want to do is just start recording right there. So I make sure my playhead is right there, and then I just hit R, and it's going to count in. Now you have to be careful that you don't record over wrong parts in your song, and it's even harder when you're doing vocals, because you don't have the option to say record over starting at this 18 bar and then adjust it later and get this back that you recorded over. You lose it all with GarageBand. So after you've done a record, as far as I've experienced. So let's after you've recorded into this same little region. So let's do that next recording. And I just spaced it, and I need to start out on A minor. So hopefully that sounds okay. I'm getting kind of a little bit of a delay in my headphones because of how I have to record the screencast. So let me just make sure nothing's on here that would be adding more delay, and we're looking like we don't have anything on, so it's about as good as it's going to get for me. So let's take a listen back and just hear how off time this guitar is. Okay, so it's a little wonky here and there, but I think that's going to work for us. So what I'm going to do is trim the end of this one off, and you can see I had both of those highlighted, and I started trimming the end, and I got trims on both of them. So I've got my two guitar parts, and let's just get into a little interesting bit of I'm going to go back to my help again, and I'm going to say arrangement. Show arrangement track. This is under tracks. We can see these different arrangement track, master track, podcast track, and movie track. And those do different things, but we're interested in the arrangement track right now. And we're going to come back over to the beginning, and I'm going to say add one, and I'm going to double click here. And sometimes this doesn't seem to like to work for me. To rename it. How do I rename it? It's not working. Obviously, I'm not clicking it correctly. Oh well. We'll try. We'll just make another one here, because really all I want is these sections. It would be nice to name them correctly, and somehow I did it before. So these are arrangements, and we can kind of group all of the tracks below this marker into and there we go. It worked. So we got verse, and I don't know what I was doing. I just click it once and then again, and it takes a while to react. So I'm going to break these into verse and chorus, and this just lets us see where we're at in our song, really. So I'm going to put up my guitar for now, and we're going to move on to, let's say, some bass. So I've got a muted bass here, but I would like to pick another bass guitar, and that is called the subby bass. I like this bass guitar a little bit more than that other one. So let me take a little listen, just this microphone here, up for later. Okay, so we're going to lay down some bass riffs. Now, one tip when you're doing bass, and you may already know this if you're a bass player or if you have a little composition knowledge, but it's a kind of a common thing in pop and rock to hit have all your bass notes hitting at the same time as your kick notes in the drums. So whenever the kick player is playing the kicks, you're going to want to have your at least some of your bass notes hitting. So I'm going to just kind of generically follow that rule almost exactly here as we play. So what this starts out on F, and then we go to C. What was that little slide I got going? I know I hit these key switches down here, and they started doing some funky stuff, so that might have been left over from that. On some of these instruments, the lower down, and I have this pitched up so you can see it right here. on the lower notes sometimes change what the sound is doing. So it'll change it from muted, or for violins it might change different articulations. So it may be a really harsh, aggressive hit on the violin, or it could be a pluck on the strings. So those are called key switches, and that would be down here. So I'm going to play, like I said, F, C, A, G. So probably not that C that low. So let's do some of that here. And I'm at the 1, measure 1, and I'm going to hit R again to record. And I will just wing it here. Now let's listen to the kick real quick. So it's ba ba ch ba ba ch ba ba. So I'm gonna play kind of that same note pattern. Something like that. So here we go. Okay, so you could hear that something was going on there, kind of distracting. I think it's when I held down, I'm doing like a slide down there when I hit hard enough. So. Okay, so I just need to make sure not to hit that too hard. I don't think I want those kind of effects in my song. So let's see where I was here. So we see the chorus starts right here. So what I'm going to do, I don't feel like playing that again because for the sake of time and to show you just a little editing technique, we're going to go to edit and then split this region. So I just split that, and then I'm going to hold down Alt, the Option, and we're going to copy that. So we could copy it like that, or we could have just looped it, but you know, just showed you how to trim, to cut it, and do that. So there we go. We've got our full. And actually, you know what I was talking about earlier with that slide down on the bass. Let's eliminate those right now. So whoops, just hid that. I constantly do that. What I'm going to do is just take the velocity down on these a little bit. So let's see, turn on my cycle and drag this right here and listen back. And this is kind of cool. If you're down here in any of these regions, you can hit this. So there's one right there, and we're going to take that down, and we're also going to take this one down. So there's that one, and this didn't happen before at all when I was playing this, so it's kind of interesting. Maybe I think maybe I hit some key, but who knows. Did we have one more there? Right here. Turn that cycle off. That's another thing. If you have the cycle on, it's gonna, when you start it playing, it's gonna play from the beginning of that cycle every time. Okay, so I've got that down. We may have another one of those somewhere back here in the first part. I think we do, but we'll get rid of that later. So we have the bass, we have some drums, but let's say these drums need to kick it up a notch at this chorus part, and I'm gonna just play that. Let's see, we're gonna bring this down to be a 4-measure loop, and okay, so we're going to record that. So I'm gonna press R, it'll give me a count in. And what happened here? What the heck? It just recorded over the beginning of that and then joined everything together and ruined my song. So to avoid that, I'm going to just trim this back for a second and do this one more time. And it did it again. Way to go. So what are we going to do? We're going to split this thing, and then we're going to take this all the way back here, and then I'm going to adjust that. Okay, so I've got some hi-hat there, and I'm going to take all this right here and quantize this. I'm having a little bit of trouble still playing on the beat right now because that delay, so I'll blame it on that, and hopefully you'll forgive me for quantizing incessantly. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a snare here. So hit record again. Okay, so we got a snare there, and then I'm going to add one more tambourine. Here we go. So we've got that laid down, and I'm going to one more time quantize at the 8th note. And then I'm gonna let's say I'm not gonna loop this because I want to make some little variations in the drums in the second part. So and that's an important thing when you're doing drum programming. If you want it to be a little more believable, you should add some variations here and there. So I'm going to hold down Command, and I'm going to draw in a note here, and then I'm going to add a cymbal crash here, crank up the velocity, and I'm going to change the cycle to be right here. So that little end feel, the tap, I'm going to add, actually I'm going to leave that there, but I'm going to move this and then add one more maybe right here, crank up the velocity on that, and take a little listen how this sounds. I'm going to add one more little crash here. We're going to put a crash at right here. That's not very loud, so I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. Okay, so on we've got our regular beat right here, and what I want to do is have a bit of a lead in to this second part. Whoops, didn't want that to happen. What I really wanted to happen was to be able to just copy this one little piece, but it looks like it decided to copy all my loops and then to overlay my other drums, so I didn't want that to happen. And what I want to do is go from that simple beat and then kind of have a little bit of a build up into this next section. Hit that snare again. I didn't mean to. I meant to hit the tom. So, whoops, I have everything selected there. I need to select just the that one behind there. There we go. And then maybe I can move it. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. So here's what you do. You move it down, and then you move it back up. And we can adjust these a bit. Hopefully this sounds okay now. And then I'm going to also do a little cymbal crash here as well. Not a cymbal crash, let's just do an open hi-hat. And I think that crash right there has got to go. So now we've got one more little section, and this is where it kicks up even more. I'm going to add a piano and some trumpets here. So also to kick it up a little bit, I'm going to have the hi-hats go a little faster. So I'm going to select all these hi-hats here, and then I'm going to delete them, I think. Whoops. I didn't want to do that. Okay, I deleted the whole track. So I want to take that and then delete them. There we go. Okay, so now we've just got, and I didn't even delete the right ones. I deleted the ones there, and I'm going to come down here and just make sure I'm inside of there, and then I'm going to select only the ones, because look at what happened there. When I hit that, it looks like it highlighted all the regions everywhere. So if I hit delete, oh, you could see they all dropped out from in there. So that's kind of weird. So let me just delete all these out. And I'll just say that this kind of funky stuff doesn't happen in the software that you actually pay for, Logic Express and Logic. There's a reason why this program is free, and it's not the most friendly thing to do editing like this in. It's kind of best just to be playing stuff into it. But anyway, enough complaining out of me. I'm going to play some faster tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat type stuff on the hi-hats, I think. Okay, so we got that, I think, except for, okay, now that'll work. So let's do one more. This is going on. You know, as you can see, doing some drums can take a little bit of time. I'm just going to do another crash right here. I'm going to copy this one over. And also let's see, drummer only has 2 hands, so I'm not going to do anything else. It's kind of one rule you can follow too. Of course, the drummer's not really clapping, but the drummer can hit a snare and a cymbal at the same time unless he's really, really good. Okay, so that's not sounding too shabby. So we've got our drums all laid down. We've got our guitar laid down. And let's just do some vocals now. So, and then we'll add the piano and the rest of the stuff. So I am going to just do that. Let's adjust this microphone here. And I wrote these lyrics today. And writing lyrics is the least favorite thing for me to do when it comes to music. I find it pretty difficult, so crank that down. And I'm just going to take a run through this, and I need to make sure I'm on 3 and I have the monitor on. And for now, I'm going to click off my mic that I'm speaking into, so now you can hear me. Okay, and we're back. I just decided to restart GarageBand, and getting a little better delay now on this microphone, so I can hopefully sing a little better in time. So I've got my my vocals here, and I'm getting input on the meters we can see, so I think everything is looking good. I'm going to grab my lyrics here and give it a shot. In the evening time, the quiet is shading, there's nothing to do. I wonder what might change, and if our hearts can hold on to all the love we feel, build up like a high-rise daydream. All the love we feel, beginning to see what people mean. And will she be the missing piece that fills it in and makes it whole? I sure hope it's true. Looking out to find all the better ways to be a man and understand all the things we do. Okay, so that was take 1, and I am going to try just the first half of that again. And like I said, with the overdubbing, you can't really overdub different sections in here. You have to punch in. So I'm just going to make another track and then mute this one. And again, I made that track by going track, duplicate track, or Command D, duplicate. So I'm just going to do one more take. It'll probably be better this time. In the evening. And what I do there, I don't have my monitor on. In the evening time, the quiet is shading, there's nothing to do but wonder what might change, and if our hearts can hold on to all the love we feel, build up like a Okay, so that one was maybe a little bit better. It's not going to be perfect, so I'm actually going to turn this second one down and then do a double track. So one more time through this and we should be done. In the evening time, quiet, the shade, and there's nothing to do. I wonder what might change, and if our hearts can hold on to the love we feel, like a high-rise daydream. All the love we feel, beginning to see what people mean. And will she be the missing piece that fills it in, makes it whole? I sure hope it's true. Looking out to find all the better ways to be a man, understand all the things we do. All right, so we've got that done. Hopefully that wasn't too painful for you to listen to. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's take this, let's see, the very first one that we did, that one, let me turn my monitor back up so I could hear myself talk here. That first track was maybe the better, more complete one, and then this second one I kind of dropped out. I wasn't sure of the phrasing. So actually I'm going to turn these monitors off now so we quit hearing that when I click on them. And so now we've got these two vocals. I'm going to turn the second one down a little bit, turn this one up, and then let's take a listen. In the evening time, quiet, the shade, and there's nothing to do. But wonder what might change, and if our hearts can hold on to all the love we feel, build up like a high-rise daydream. All the love we feel. Okay, so I'm not going to have that second vocal come in until right about here. And what we need to do at that point is maybe pan, either pan this one left, or we need to pan both of them opposite left and right. And this is you know, a personal choice, but this is what I normally do. So what you would do to achieve that, and we'll just go into this quickly because it's kind of a mixing topic, but I think pretty relevant. We're going to take this, and you can see I turned on the automation for this track, the track pan automation, and now I can draw automation. So I can make the pan on this thing move as the song progresses in this timeline. So you can see now that this control on screen is grayed out because I can no longer use it. Whenever I click, it's going to bring up the track pan. And then what I also want to do here is I want to drop the volume on this thing a little bit, because when the other one comes in, we're not going to need so much volume to have this to have it. Once we have two vocal tracks going, we don't need this one to be at full volume because they'll complement each other and make a whole. So let's listen to that. Actually, that's too quiet. And I guess that's true too. If you pan something to the side, it also loses some volume. So let's try just pumping that up a little bit. And we want to get kind of the equivalent from before and after. Now we could see we have one of those did it again, one of those basses drop in there, one of those slides. Where was it? Right here, maybe? That was it. 125 velocity. So, okay, I think that might be the last of those things. So what else do we have to add in here? I'm going to add some piano. So let's add that piano and double click on this track header. And I would like to use the grand piano punchy. Excuse me. So there we go, and I'm going to be playing, just for myself, I'm going to be playing F, C, A, G. So I'm going to just play some kind of poppy eighth notes, I guess, there for this chorus. So I can look up here at my chorus bar and say, okay, there's my chorus, and I can go back to the beginning of it. But actually, I'm not going to play this whole chorus. I'm going to play halfway through it. So there we are, halfway through. I'm going to go F, C, A, G. Like that. Here we go. That is wrong. I need to say A, C, G, F. Oh, man. Like that. Here we go. Okay, so let's just clean that up a little bit, or you could replay it if you'd like to, but I'll just go in here and show you. It's easy to spot little notes that I hit on accident there. There's another one. You just click on those and press delete. I missed a couple here, but big deal. That seems like it'll be okay. What I do want to do, though, is turn this down because it's pretty high in the mix, and I'm going to pan it over to the right. Okay, and then I want to record a pair of trumpets. So let's do a new track, and it's going to be a real instrument, and we're going to use that same microphone, which is mono input 3, and create that. And then I'm going to make well, let's change the name because we like to UMPET. And then I'm going to duplicate that with Command D and say trumpet 2. There we go. And let's see if I can play trumpet now. And I'm going to need to turn my trumpet, the input on this thing down. So, whoops. If I... That might do it there. So let me just do a little test and we'll see. That's not good. I need to bring up my header and I want to put the monitor on. Okay, so that's on, and let's do this one more time. And I'll just demonstrate this cycle recording because I'm probably going to mess this up. So if we just keep this going, it's going to cycle record and loop over and overdub, and then I can pick my favorite take out of that. So let's hit R, and I think I have my buttons here I need to push down to remind me of my trumpet. And that monitor signal is way too loud for me, so I'm going to kill that. But we could see that the actual recorded signal didn't seem too bad there. So I'm going to delete that and then hit R again. Okay, so that second one I think was okay. I have a cracked note or something in there, but we're just going to let it slide. So I need to record my second one now. So I'm going to turn that first one way down. And I also want to kill my microphone here so I can't hear it because that trumpet's way loud in this mic. So here we go, one more time. So that might be okay. But then make sure you check this out. You can see there's nothing in here and we have a 2, so we need to pick take 1. And we can actually say delete unused takes. And then let's see, what do we have here? We do have a good take in that. So let's listen back, pan these left and right, and just see how things are sounding here. Okay, so that's not bad. I've played better trumpet probably when I was in high school, but that's as good as it's going to get today. So we've got our piano, we've got our acoustic, and you know, you could double track the acoustic and pan those left and right. That'll sound really nice. But while we're here, let's just finish off this song and just do a couple little mixing things. Not really mixing, but more EQ. On my drums, let's take a listen to those. Let's turn on the EQ, and then I am going to get rid of that, whatever that is. I don't need a huge treble boost in any of my music, really. So let's, what I want to do is really beef up the bass a bit. So I'm going to give it a peak right around 50, 60. And I didn't grab this bass because that's like a low cutoff. You can see that it brings everything down past a certain point. So I don't need to do that. I need to grab the low mid and I need to sweep this down and then give it a little peak up. And that's nice. I like that. So what else would we need to do in this mix? I think this bass sounds pretty good being a sampled bass without compressor on it, so that's nice. Piano's cutting through okay, so I think everything's pretty much okay. We could add some, well, we do have some compressor on the voice, so there's already some compressor. Let's just look how it's set. If you like some more echo or whatever, we can add that in. Let's leave that off of that main vocal and just put some on the that secondary vocal, and that'll add in a little bit of a layer there. So I think this track is about done. Let's say we wanted to continue it on. We could hold down Option and drag this over here, and now we have our verse again. Then we could take this, and we now have throw our, there we go, our second chorus there, and then we could continue building this song. You know, delete out these vocals here, lay down our second verse and another chorus, and then we could create a new bridge and maybe one more chorus, and you're done with your song. You've got it there. So the other thing that I would do is I would go to this master track. I would add maybe some kind of dynamics processing. So let's take a listen back at this. Just to you know, pump it up to the modern you know, really squash levels that you might try and compare your stuff to that's been professionally mastered. Of course, this isn't professionally mastered, but let's at least bring it up a bit to to the level that you might like. So let me just turn this down so I don't blow out your ears. So what I did was I adjusted this this point right here, the threshold, which I was talking about earlier with the compressor. So it was just a little bit below what I was seeing that red arrow dancing at. Let me bring this back here. So I bring it down there, and then I drop open these details, and then I adjust the master gain until it's getting close to 0. You don't want it to go over 0 at any point, so I just kind of bring it up so it's right in between -10 and 0. Now the pros, they're going to be pushing this up to almost 0 at all times, and it's not a great sound. If that's what you're going for, you need to get out of GarageBand and do this in something that has a couple better tools. And you're even limited here because you can only put one plugin on the master, which is bad apple. And they give you these other plugins, but it'd be nice to have something else. So you could add another plugin or two, but I guess if you want to do that, they figure you should go buy Logic or something like that and spend some more money. So there we go. That's Project Songwriter, taking your song from acoustic guitar and vocals and adding all the little elements that can kind of simulate a full band. Or whatever you want it to be. It doesn't even have to be a band. You don't have to make it sound like acoustic drums. You can try some electronic drums and stuff and develop your own sound. And you can definitely work. This is how I work, just writing songs inside of a software like this is where I actually write songs. So I'll play some acoustic guitar, and then I'll kind of write my lyrics in here. So hopefully you've gotten a couple good tips out of this, and wish you luck on whatever song you decide to write in GarageBand.